Thailand's experiment with economic populism is teetering on the brink. The country's almost $14 billion cash handout plan, promised to put cold hard cash in the hands of nearly every Thai adult, is poised to be abandoned by the next government under the daughter of former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra. It's a stunning reversal that pulls the rug out from under one of the boldest economic policy initiatives anywhere in the world. The crux of the issue comes down to governance, economic orthodoxy, and just how far a government should go to jolt an underperforming economy back to life. On one side, you have former leader Sretha Thavisin and his few Thai party backers, who viewed the cash deluge as a necessary, if profligate, step to unleash pent-up consumer demand and propel Southeast Asia's second biggest economy out of the doldrums. The other camp, championed by Thaksin himself and the technocrats, recoils at the plan's staggering price tag, potential to turbocharge inflation, and lack of sustainable economic drivers. Let's take a step back. How did this rupture occur? Thailand's economy has long punched below its weight, growing at an anemic rate of less than 2% annually over the past decade. Part of the malaise stems from immense household debt burdens that constrict consumer spending. An even bigger culprit is the deterioration of Thailand's manufacturing base, which has been decimated by a tidal wave of cheap imports from regional powerhouse China. In desperate need of a spark, the Pheu Thai Party advocated for a radical solution, sending a one-time 10,000 baht payment, around $285, to every Thai citizen aged 16 and over, no strings attached. The rationale was as straightforward as it was unorthodox. Blanket the country with a sudden $14 billion cash infusion and hope that pent-up demand is unleashed in a consumer frenzy that lifts all economic boats. Of course, the nagging question remained of how exactly to fund such an audacious plan. While some proposals involved raising debt, others pondered radical steps like deploying central bank reserves and recouping the costs through future taxation. These financing uncertainties created fissures that only widened as implementation loomed. The surprise dismissal of Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin by the Constitutional Court on a technical violation of media shareholding rules was the first domino to fall. It deprived the cash handout policy of its greatest proponent and raised doubts around parliamentary approval of the requisite budgetary increases. But the final death knell seemed to come directly from Thaksin Shinawatra, the self-exiled billionaire and behind-the-scenes power broker of the Pheu Thai Party. According to media reports, Thaksin directed his daughter Paetongtarn Shinawatra, set to become Thailand's next premier, to abandon the cash handout gambit. While the precise reasons remain opaque, it's not difficult to read between the lines. Thaksin, ever the savvy pragmatist, likely recognized the plan's dimming viability and sought to refocus the economic agenda. Doubts over its financing model, downside inflation risks, and potential for funds to hemorrhage abroad through import spending have all been raised by critics. So now Thailand stands at an inflection point, both economically and politically. Nearly 30 million Thai citizens, over 40% of the population, had already registered in anticipation of receiving the cash windfall. Their hopes and expectations have now been appended alongside the entire policy apparatus. Resentment, frustration, and cries of betrayal seem inevitable to come. It doesn't help that the cash handouts' impending scuttling occurs against the backdrop of yet another subpar economic performance. Preliminary data shows Thailand's economy likely grew just 2.1% in the second quarter, according to the median forecast. While an improvement from the prior period, it still falls well short of the lofty 5% annual growth target set by the deposed Sretha administration. So what happens next? The incoming government under Paetongtarn Shinawatra will be under immense pressure to deliver alternative stimulus to reflate the flagging economy. But specifics remain hazy. Media reports only vaguely allude to more direct stimulus measures, which could span everything from targeted consumption outlays to investment inducements. The path forward looks murky and littered with economic and political landmines. From a distance, Thailand's cash handout saga illustrates the treacherous push and pull between economic populism and economic orthodoxy playing out around the world. Countries experiencing years of sluggish growth have increasingly turned to unconventional, even radical, policies to regain their footing. From modern monetary theory experiments to wealth taxes and universal basic income trials, the Overton window of once fringe economic policies has widened considerably. Thailand's cash deluge plan represented one of the most ambitious embodiments of this trend, an egalitarian, universal stimulus payment show of force. Yet the plan's stillbirth also exposes the constraints policymakers face when departing too severely from mainstream economic doctrine. The unease with deficit financing, potential to turbocharge inflation, and lack of productive economic reforms have now killed the program. It reveals the tightrope all leaders must walk to balance economic ingenuity with macroeconomic stability. Every nation wants a spark to rekindle growth. But at what cost? Economic heresy or imprudence can swiftly undermine those very aims. Thailand now finds itself at this crossroads. The intoxicating lure of economic populism, of achieving domestic resurgence through sheer force of consumer will, has gradually dissipated into harsh pragmatism and political reality. While hoping to rewrite the economic playbook, Thailand's leaders have encountered the same dilemmas that have vexed policymakers worldwide. How to engineer growth without destabilizing the entire economic framework. The cash handout plan gambit has concluded, at least for now. But the economic stagnation and desperation that catalyzed it remains as pernicious as ever. Thailand's next policy experiment, whatever form it takes, will be closely watched. For a country urgently seeking an economic rebirth, the stakes remain astronomically high. The global populism versus prudence debate continues unabated.